Hello and welcome to HITMC, where we love talking about the latest strategies, news, and insights from the world of healthcare marketing. I'm Colin Hung, and I'm sitting down today with Chris Slocumb, president of Clarity Quest Marketing, one of HITMC's founding sponsors and winner of the 2022 Medigy HITMC Award for Agency of the Year. Chris, welcome to the program.
Hi, Colin. Great to see you again. Glad to be here.
Now, I wish we were doing this in person, but this is the next best thing. It's sort of a normal thing now, right?
Absolutely. The new normal.
There it is. Now, I want to ask you a few questions about what's happening in Clarity Quest. I want to kind of dive into a little bit about what you're seeing in the marketplace. But maybe the first question I'll start with is Clarity Quest Marketing is a two-time winner of Agency of the Year, which is an incredible feat. To what do you owe this kind of success?
Yeah, we were really honored to win both times, but quite pleasantly surprised by the win in 2022. It really comes down to people and values and culture. We've built a culture here I'm really proud of. Everyone has each other's backs. The team has some foundation folks here who've been here 15, 11, and 9 years, which is quite a feat in today's job market. And then some folks who joined over the past few years and call it their forever job. So, we've really built a culture here where folks want to stay. And then on the client side, the values really show. We have never missed a deadline in 21 years. And that's through, life happens. People have tragedies, people have accidents, again, it's have each other's back, like if someone can't make something and has a sick child, then I'll chip in and do a blog post, or Brian, who's our EVP, will do a digital campaign. Like, people wear a lot of hats here, and we make sure that we deliver to clients because we know how important the partnership, and they're really counting on us.
Wow, it seems like you have an amazing culture there at the company, and to not miss a deadline in that span of time is that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it just shows that you're really dedicated to your client's success.
It's an important value. It's on everyone's sticky post, like we don't miss deadlines on things. And then our clients see that we deliver to that, and they're like, holy moly, you're not kidding about this, right? So that's we really try and live out the values that we put in front of clients and we put out there publicly.
Is there any project from this past 12 months that sort of stands out for you in terms of, exemplifying the values or the capabilities of Clarity Quest?
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of projects, both on the health IT and pharma tech side. We've had a few where websites, were getting delayed because client review cycles and the CEO gets involved at the last minute and things like that. And our team always strives to, still deliver by the deadline, or be really clear about why, when we can deliver based on when a client gets feedback to us. So yeah, we've had quite a few projects on the digital side, on the web side. We're working with, some clients who are in very robust startup kind of cycles a lot of times, and things change, like Fathom doing some really unique things in AI coding and revenue cycle management. And the team really always strives to make sure we're delivering quality and on time and on budget.
In your opinion, Chris, when you look at your team today, what kind of capabilities and skill sets are needed for success today?
Yeah, I think in an agency, everyone has to have some sort of strategic mindset, right? You can't just be robots and doers. I hear that a lot from clients. I don't need someone to just execute campaigns. I can go hire an intern to do that, right? I need strategic advice. I need sounding board. I need folks who are going to press me, challenge me, offer alternates, offer options. And so we get a lot of business that way and keep the business because Our account directors are pretty senior across the board, and even our more junior folks get into a very strategic mindset early.
And Chris, do you think that that skill set is going to be the same skill set needed 2 or 3 years from now, given what you're seeing in the industry in terms of success for an agency?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more demand for strategic services. We start a lot with clients in a foundation phase, right? Where we say, okay, do you know your messaging? Do you know your positioning? Tell me. And if they can't, we're like, we got to do this. We have to do the foundation step, and we call it the foundation of the marketing house. And we said, you got to have clear brand. You have to have clear position, have to have an amazing website, have to have a marketing plan. We won't do a lead gen without a marketing plan, so that then there are metrics against which all we're measuring against, right? So we're talking the same language. I think you're going to see more of that strategic mindset. You're going to see more analytics. You're going to see more data interpretation needed from marketing.
It's interesting you say that, the analytics side. Certainly metrics have always been important to marketing, but never, I'll call it a prowess of marketing. But what I'm hearing you say is that the analytical side is something that is going to continue to be needed. And for agency, especially down the road, you're going to need that skill set in-house.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every one of our clients, once we get into a recurring revenue model, is like, show me the proof, show me the metrics, right? You can just do brand and pretty stuff like right on foundation, right? But once you get into a partnership with each other and you have to show ROI down to the revenue attribution level, you have to have dashboards, you have to have metrics, you have to be able to prove it. Show me. And some of those things are easier than other. Digitals, as you know, is easier than like PR placement, but we're even now getting attribution on, non-traditional kind of methods and channels.
And do you see the technology landscape changing for agencies in terms of the tools you're going to have to use or are using even now to deliver projects to your clients?
Yes, absolutely. GA4 and Google Analytics 4 coming on the forefront, and offering that tool in a free format is amazing. But a lot of people don't know how to use it really well, or use 10% of it. That, and then having ways to use Google Data Studio to layer on top of that, so it's easier for executives to understand. They don't have to dig in the weeds, kind of thing. So yeah, agencies are going to have people who understand that. We have a team that just does marketing automation, just does analytics, that because it's a specific skill. I used to be able, to go into Google Analytics and find what I want. And I'm like, I don't know where the heck that is now. Build me a dashboard, it changes, and it changes so often. And then we see things like complicated ABM workflows, AI for, even like banner ad interpretation of like which colors people are responding to. Tech is going to become more and more important to marketing every day.
And are you finding, Chris, are you pushing sort of the envelope with your clients in terms of their understanding of metrics and analytics and all this data and AI, or are they kind of pulling you and going, hey, how about this new AI and analytics stuff? Can you help me with that? Like, is it push-pull or?
There's a couple, I would say 10% of the market that really knows their stuff. And they're not always on the larger side, as you might suspect, right? Some mid-level companies have that analytics bent person, or have a CEO that's really technical that knows marketing, right? And that's where we'll sometimes see that. But the other 90%, we're pushing it out. We're awareness. We have that as a value here too, like be at the forefront of marketing, right? To always be looking for the next thing so that we're never caught off guard, and that we can recommend it to clients. It's amazing how many B2B companies aren't using intent data, or something like that, or even like budgeting to spend for something like that when it's so powerful, right? Especially as you start going towards the ABM route. But even if you're doing ABM kindergarten light, intent data can be really, really powerful to see who's finding your brand.
Well, it sounds like that's an added value of going with agencies like ClarityQuest and others, where you're helping to move the company forward in terms of its understanding and use of marketing techniques and strategies and frankly data. It sounds like.
Yeah. Sometimes it's kicking and screaming. Sometimes it's like, oh, I get it, but the CEO won't give me budget. But oftentimes we keep working it. We keep working it. We keep showing the value. We show use cases, and then we show what other clients are doing without naming names and saying, look what's happening over here, and look what you could be doing too. And they're like, okay, let's do a pilot. Let's try this. So it's a slower process, as a lot in healthcare marketing is, but it's happening. Pharma tech, on the other hand, is a little bit more modernized, I'd say, in terms of their approach. They have more money to throw at it, frankly, and because they've been so involved in more the B2C side, and in pharma out. There's more understanding there of the tools that marketing can bring to bear.
Well, since you brought it up, I have to go there. Budgets. Let's talk a little bit about budgets. You talked about there having the need for an internal person to go and justify the budgets to an executive and the senior leadership. Have you seen any changes in terms of how people are going about justifying marketing spend, or in terms of what data they need or backup they need to go and get that money?
They seem to need a lot more justification from us about prove it, tell me why, why do I need a marketing plan is a question I get. And Colin, I'm writing a book. It's taking like 5 years to write this book, but I'm like, there's a whole chapter on like why you need a marketing plan. Because we found the companies that do the plan, like 80% of them succeed, whereas only 20% of them succeed who just like try and wing it, right? Yeah, it's interesting because there's different mentalities, and there's clients who come to us and they say, I want a plan. And I'm like, hallelujah. Like you understand this, you understand you don't just build software without a requirements document. Well, you don't build marketing without a plan, and, really no-go decisions on things. Like, should you be doing PR? No, yes. There's reasons to do it. There's reasons not to do it, right? So yeah, we're starting to see need for more justification. And I think that comes in this slight recessionary environment. Like, why should we be doing marketing? Why shouldn't we cut marketing? And then we're seeing less on the good side of people who just duplicate a budget from last year. I'm just going to duplicate the budget and throw it in again this year. They're really looking at line items.
That's good. Well, that's exciting, because that's never a good idea to kind of take what you did last year and just kind of say, we're just going to do more of the same.
Yeah, I always go to them and say, are you going to do the same in revenue? I don't think your board would be happy with that, right? So if you got to make another 10 mil or 100 million this year, like, what is the marketing budget to support that delta that's needed?
Now, we were talking before we got on air about, how the Great Resignation is impacting marketing in general, and how a lot of people who used to be at agencies or used to be in-house at companies have now decided to go off and become independent contractors. And hey, some of them are going to make a real go of it, and maybe one day will become, the agencies 2 or 3 years down the road. As someone who's been in the business for a while and run an agency of your own for a while, what advice would you give to someone like that who's just kind of getting started down this road?
Yeah, the first 2 years will be all roses and and happy, and you'll be getting referrals, and then year 2 gets really tough, especially if it's a recessionary environment, right? And then so that year 2 to 5 is when you really have to buckle down. You really have to look at outbound and inbound for your lead generation. And if you can make it to 5, then you're usually golden, right? But partner. We have a lot of we have some contractors who partner, with us, and then are doing something that came through referral. Always be talking to folks like you who know the industry, who are networked. I just opened up your whole email, Colin. Sorry. But yeah, network through organizations like HITMC and Bio, and folks like that, because you never know where you're going to get your next deal from. And, there'll be those folks who decide like, oh, I love this. This is perfect for me. And those are like, oh, I hate going out and getting the next lead. That's just a drag. I want to go back under an umbrella. And I think you'll see a combination of that.
You're definitely not wrong. I mean, it's sort of like the journey of any independent contractor, right? Like when you're in the middle of doing and fulfilling, it's amazing. But then for some, it can be quite daunting to go, oh, when those have dried up, what's next? And that's when you realize you should have been building your pipeline and connecting and doing all those things so that you can roll right onto the next project.
Yeah. And I'll say, like SEO, and LinkedIn, make sure you got a robust website that makes you look bigger than you are, even if you're one person in your basement, and have a robust SEO program, content, and get out there on LinkedIn. If you do all those things, you're going to succeed. I started as an independent contractor, and be careful what you wish for. You might end up with 22 people, one day. So yeah, I think there's journeys that are fit for everyone. And there's those folks who are going to decide it's for them. A lot of folks don't like working on their own. They decide it's pretty lonely, and then want to get more involved with groups or go back under a W-2 kind of umbrella. And then there's those who love it. Like, I would never go back. I never want to drive to work again. I never. Right?
I get asked this question a lot. I've never faced this, so I have to ask you, at what point did you realize you need to hire someone else? Like, what's sort of that magic where point? Was it a breaking point? Was it more just a realization, man, we can increase our revenue if I had 2 people rather than 1?
Yeah, I mean, someone sat me down at one time, a really good advisor, and said, Chris, you'll only make as much money as you have hours, as long as you're on your own. The minute you have people under the umbrella, you're off playing golf and they're making money for you. You're on vacation, you're still making money, right? So that, and also, just getting to a particular demand point where it didn't make sense to have just contractors anymore working with me. There was enough demand and in-house recurring revenue that it made sense to bring people on, and it's more fun, and there's much more brainstorm that can happen. And so first hire was actually employee number 1, who is still with us. He's our senior creative director, because I needed graphic design, and I had just moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan, didn't know a soul. Found him on Google because he had a great SEO profile as a contractor. And I eventually convinced him to leave his job and join us, and not just be a freelancer anymore. So yeah, that's the funny story of that whole thing.
Wow.
Still here.
What a great story. And it is different for a lot of people. I've heard some have just reached a breaking point where they were failing to live up to the client requests, and just realized, hey, I need somebody. And others who kind of came to the realization that you did, where, hey, I can continue to grow and can work on other aspects of my business while this other person with different skills can fulfill this side of things. And that snowballed into second, third, fourth hire, and then they were off to the races.
Yeah, I was never going to be a graphic designer. I knew that from day one. Casey, our creative director, reminds me every day when he goes back on Time Machine and looks at the first website and has a really good laugh. I was like, that is not my forte. I have fortes, but that is not one of them. So design and that creative visual definitely needed help from the get-go there.
Chris, final couple questions here. What's next for Clarity Quest? What have you got planned over the next few months and few years for the company?
Yeah. So we're really, really growing our PR team, which is exciting. PR has always been an ancillary service to digital that we had here, but we've just seen so much demand for it grow in the past 2-3 years, especially since COVID. I think a lot of trade show budgets went towards PR and are not going all the way back into trade show. So the demand for PR has been through the roof. So we are really, really building that side of the business out. We're building out video and interactive content more, and then continuing to progress our skills on the digital side and ABM, on some AI offerings, on things like intent data and Bombora and all those different platforms. So yeah, we're building out the team, actively hiring right now, and just looking forward to that, because we have some great clients that are both on the high end, like $2 billion companies, and then we have Series AV companies, and that's a really exciting mix because they're very different in how they approach things, but all of them are fabulous clients right now, doing some amazing work to bring therapies to patients faster, getting over hurdles of pharma commercialization cycles, biotherapy kind of angles, the healthcare and health IT AI angle of all of that. So we're seeing some exciting things in therapies. And now the marketing and the solutions that we're helping clients with to market those into pharma or market those into health systems is kind of catching up with that.
Sounds like it's never the same thing each day at
No, that's one thing I tell people when they interview, you will never be bored. We're learning something new every day.
And Chris, where can people go to find out more information about Clarity Quest and perhaps, sign up for one of these jobs that you have open?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to clarityqst.com, clarityqst.com. We have a careers page if they're interested in jobs. We also have a newsletter. Sign up if they're interested in our content.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and all the information you shared, Chris. It's very interesting getting into the history of your company and how you got started and some of the things that you're seeing coming down the road in terms of trends.
Thank you, Colin. It's been a pleasure as always.
Hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening and watching. Also, head on over to hitmc.com, where you can access free resources, industry news, and insightful articles. You can also connect with us on Twitter using the hashtag HITMC. I'm Colin Hung, along with Chris Slocumb. Thanks for being here.